When it comes to obesity, medicine has a massive blind spot. Sure, we track blood pressure, measure insulin, and check liver damage. But the problem is, we've been treating the body like a collection of isolated parts. We've been entirely blind to the bigger picture until a historic nature study did something fundamentally different. Researchers rendered an entire animal transparent and used AI to scan every glowing cell. What they uncovered suggests a phenomenon far larger than scientists expected, a war spreading across the entire system, even hiding in the body's sensory network. And it raises an unsettling question. Could being overweight actually change how you experience the world? To understand this better, we have to look at what fat does under normal conditions. Because most news discusses fat only like a problem, like it's a villain. In reality, healthy fat is a remarkably sophisticated survival tool. It's our body's own battery. Each cell holds an oversized fat droplet, storing energy with extreme efficiency. It's also a vital command center, firing hormones that keep your brain, muscles, and immunity talking in perfect harmony, which makes what happens next far more tragic. Because none of these cells are villains. They're loyal, hardworking units trapped inside a system facing a catastrophic overload, a system that is beginning to fail. But how can we see how our diet pushes these cells past their limit? How do we peer inside a living network without destroying it? This is where traditional microscopes fail. Slicing tissue rips apart the very cellular interactions that scientists want to understand. The researchers needed a technological miracle. So they built one. They flooded an intact mouse with a chemical cocktail that strips away every dark pigment. And because they had previously tagged the nervous system with fluorescent markers and done the same for the immune cells, they unlocked a panoramic lens. Microscope lasers were illuminating millions of glowing cells exactly where they live. But making the body transparent was the easy part. The moment the lasers fired, scientists realized they were blind in a whole new way. There was too much data. Millions of fluorescent cells, miles of microscopic nerves, all tangled into a staggering three-dimensional labyrinth. For a human, mapping this would take a lifetime. So how do you handle such an enormous amount of data? To solve this, the team built another technological revolution, a powerful AI-driven framework called Mouse Mapper. Think of it like facial recognition software, but instead of scanning a crowd for faces, it flies through a transparent 3D body. It tracks, traces, and counts every single glowing nerve fiber and immune cell with remarkable precision. For the first time, science had a Google Maps for a living organism. So, what happened when the AI finally booted up and looked at the effects of our modern diet? As all this nutrition floods the system, the clean digital map begins lighting up red. Fat tissue becomes bigger, the liver swells up, and it reveals a disturbing truth. The data exposes thousands of damaged hotspots deep within the organism. Metabolic stress is literally radiating from the fat cells, traveling deep into the gut and further up to other vital organs. But as the AI traces the advancing front line, a different type of damage materializes where absolutely nobody expects. Not just the liver or the heart. Something strange is happening to the body's neural network. Now, to understand why the nervous system became a target, we need to rewind to the moment the breakdown started. In a healthy body, immune cells patrol the fat tissue quietly, a tiny maintenance crew making up just 5% of the territory. But the endless supply of calories triggers a devastating overload. Fat cells stretch to their structural limits. Oxygen disappears. The tissue starts to suffocate. Some fat cells even rupture or die. This attracts immune cells and sends emergency signals across the body. And how does the immune system respond? Well, it reacts exactly as designed for an acute crisis like this. It sends in the heavy infantry. Under Mouse Mapper's panoramic view, the data captures a catastrophic shift. That quiet 5% patrol explodes to 40%. Tiny outposts transform into dense inflammatory strongholds. But this crisis has no end. The incoming flood of excess energy never stops, trapping the immune system in a permanent panic mode. The AI then tracks where the immune cells are gathering. At first, the positions look random, but then a closer look reveals there's a pattern. Different types of immune cells packed together in the worst possible spot, right along the body's vital blood vessels. There, they restrict oxygen flow and spread chronic inflammation. The rescue mission has gone totally wrong, and with inflammation in the blood vessels, the war is now spreading. This is also where the scientists made their most shocking discovery. Scientists expected nerves to grow alongside the expanding fat tissue. But what they found looks more like sabotage. Nerve bundles lose thickness. Signal pathways in the heart and limbs thin and deteriorate. Everywhere they looked, the biological circuitry started to fall apart. But what happens when the network that helps you process information and sense the world begins to fade? To find out, scientists turn their attention to a primary sensory highway, the infraorbital nerve. This massive communication route carries sensory information straight from the face. But bombarded by chronic inflammation, these delicate facial nerves begin to show severe structural damage. They lose up to half their branching complexity. Meanwhile, inside the cells, the molecular signature flips completely. Stress and inflammatory signals are spiking, while the machinery to grow nerves and calm the immune system actually shuts down. Behavioral tests then expose the final consequence. As the mice gain weight, their physical sensations fade. They struggle to navigate their surroundings with their whiskers. Imagine losing half the resolution in your fingertips. The signal still arrives, but static creeps in. The world blurs. It's easy to dismiss this as just a mouse experiment. And that's exactly the criticism scientists were worried about. So they asked the ultimate question: does this happen to us? When they analyzed tissue samples from patients living with severe obesity, the answer was clear. The exact same nerve-damaging protein spiked. The exact same structural breakdown occurred. The pattern crossed the species barrier. The warning is clear. If the human body is trapped in chronic metabolic overload, our nervous system may face the same silent erosion. So, how do we fight an enemy we're only now just beginning to map? Well, this isn't a story about despair. It's a story about the start of a medical revolution. By showing that whole body mapping is possible, this research opens the door to something extraordinary. Digital twins, an AI-powered biological replica of yourself that acts like weather forecasts for human health. Imagine catching diseases years before they form, predicting hidden damage before symptoms emerge, and testing life-saving treatments virtually before a drug ever touches your body. This cellular map could one day become our ultimate shield.